Hello, my friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Y'all, the garden always changes. I know I tell you this all the time. A garden is never done. And today, this is going to be case in point because we're going to be at the Berm, specifically on the nursery side. This flower bed is filled with gorgeous perennials and shrubs and trees. But some things are super happy. So we're going to have to spread some things out. And then some things we're not happy at all, and they are no longer with us. So we're going to be planting a ton of gorgeous new perennials. Now, some of them are gorgeous currently, and some of them are looking rough. But y'all, I tell you this all the time. Late winter going into spring is a perfect time to add perennials to the garden because their roots can get established before the summer heat hits. So you are going to spend the day with me here in the Berm. My goal is to move what needs to be moved, plant what needs to be planted, and then we're also going to fertilize. Great time to fertilize because later this afternoon, the Creekside team is going to come over here and they're going to mulch this bed for me and get out the weeds because we're actually filming this on, what is today? Today is Wednesday. The nursery opens on Saturday, but it is a flurry of activity over there at the garden center. The entire team is over there, and but by the time this video airs, it will already be open. So just if you hear beating and bamming and all sorts of fun commotion, that's just them working. So let's talk about what plants are super happy that we need to move, because it's a great time not only to plant new plants, but to transplant, to move, and or if you have perennials that need to be divided, this is a great time of year to do it. Now, of course, I'll always put an asterisk. There's a little footnote whenever I say this. I am in North Carolina, a Zone 8A. We are just like west of Charlotte, very close to the South Carolina line, just to kind of give you a reference of where we are. I am speaking to my fellow Southerners, folks in the warmer zones, when I'm telling you that this is a great time to do it. If you are in the colder zones, because we have so many of you sweet people that still have snow on the ground and very cold temperatures, you still got a good bit of winter left in front of you. You're going to do this in 4 weeks or 6 weeks, maybe even 8 weeks. This is where you're a student of your own garden. Once you see your garden start to begin to wake up, trees start to get little buds on them, like leaf buds, perennials, those cold weather perennials start to come up a little bit. That is your sign to get out into your garden. So let's see what's super happy that we're going to move. As always, I have my little furry companion with me. She's quite interested in all the things that are going on at the nursery, so you will see her shenanigans going on. So I have got a beautiful crop of weeds right here at the top of the berm. We are going to take care of that before we put the mulch down. But here at the top, we have our Thunderhead Japanese black pine. Y'all, I love this tree. It is fun, it is funky, it is weird, but beautiful all at the same time. It is so incredibly happy here. Can you see that there is a barberry that is slowly being swallowed up by the pine? So this is Sunjoy Neo, a beautiful like orange red barberry. I've got another one to the left of it that has plenty of room, but we're going to dig up Neo and we are going to bring it forward. So because the pine is such a happy plant, we have one Neo here. So they were basically going to bring the other Neo right here, which works out well because I had some other plants here that they're no longer with us. And then again, pine, very happy. We're going to take up these two daylilies right here. And either I'm going to completely remove them and put them in another garden somewhere, or we're just going to bring them forward. That will be determined. And then, let's see, we're coming on down. Everything here is appropriately spaced. These are the Vino Verde Weigela, and so I do not want to prune them until after they flush out and they bloom, and then I will give them a very good haircut. We should be good to leave the blood, sweat, and tears daylilies, because once I prune the Weigela, we should be good to go on that. Then I have some Nepeta in here. This is the chartreuse on the loose. I'm just going to go ahead and take it out. I've got a great selection of perennials that can go in. And so we're going to just go ahead and remove that. It's been a great run, but there are some other plants that I'm excited to add. So we're going to remove those. And then we're going to come down here. Thankfully, there's not a lot of stuff that I have to move, but I've got some beautiful things to add. Here we have got more daylilies and then the Amsonia. So obviously my daylilies are the green, the Amsonia are those big kind of woody ball. I don't even know what to call that, like the woody balls, really. So this front one will be good, but the one there in the back, along with those two daylilies, I am going to move those. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move them forward because I have the Sweet Talker viburnum and then my little lime punch hydrangeas right here. And those are going to get, the two daylilies and that Amsonia are going to get swallowed. So what I'm going to do is just kind of rearrange a little bit and then kind of bring them forward. And then other than that, we are good and we don't have to move anything else. So if you know me, you know I do love plants. And I do love having a variety of plants for folks to see, because this side of the berm is a display garden for our customers to come and see. That is why I love having gardens at the nursery. I have from the very moment that we began Creekside and we were doing plants, whether it was containers or whatever, I want you to be inspired and to see plants in their natural habitat, to see how they really will look in a southern garden. So in the springtime, it's beautiful, it's green, it's lush, and through the summer, we've got flowers. And then yes, in the heat of the summer and going into fall, some things look a little sad. But you know what? If mine looks sad, I bet yours looks sad too, and that encourages one another. There are certain things that just look sad in the end of the summer in the South. I am one of them. So just know that this is why we're doing these gardens. And so I want to give you tons of inspiration and give you a chance to see these plants in real life, as opposed to just a picture, a stock photo that came from, you know, somewhere else in the country. So I have got the back of the John Deere filled with perennials that we're going to add. Let me show you. Now, as you can see, all of these perennials minus two in the back. So this is a brand new salvia. I don't think I'm supposed to talk about this salvia yet. So I'm not, just know that it's a new salvia from Proven Winners. Not gonna say anything more about that until I get the green light. And then back here in the corner over here, we have got the new allium. We talked about that, all the buzz. And so that is the new allium that we talked about earlier when we got it from Walter's Gardens as bare roots. So other than that, everything has overwintered outside. So when you look at the coreopsis, if your coreopsis looks like this, it is okay. It is alive and there's new growth down here. Same thing like, you know, with the Rudbeckia and the penstemon, all of that. So I just want you to know that these have spent the winter outside. So it is perfectly fine for me to go ahead and put them in the ground. So let's talk about it. Over here, we have got a collection of daisies. So these are all from Proven Winners, and I have two of them. I have the Amazing Daisies Banana Cream 2. I love this daisy because it gives you, on the same plant, this ombre effect of a very nice pale yellow and a creamy white. Of course, your daisies are full sun. They love well-draining soil. They will do great on this berm because we are on quite a hill, and it will drain well. Your daisies are going to be hardy in zones 5 to 9. And this one will be about 2 feet tall. That includes the flowers. So I've got quite a little collection. We're going to do a mass planting of Banana Cream 2. And then we have the ever classic daisy. This is the Amazing Daisies Daisy May. So Daisy May is going to be that classic pure white flower with that yellow center. It's going to be about 24 inches tall as well. Of course, same growing zone and full sun, well draining soil. Have another big collection of those, so we'll do a mass planting. So those are all the daisies with the salvia in the back. You know, I just realized I do not have phenomenal lavender in our gardens. it is just shameful. It is just a disgrace. So I have got 5 phenomenal lavender that we are going to add. I'm not sure where, but it's going to be in my hottest, driest spot. I'm honestly thinking I might put them up here at the top where the weeds are. So I'm thinking up here because this is going to be definitely the hottest and the driest. So that's where I think phenomenal is going to go. Like I said, I have 5, and y'all, these spent all winter outside on the table right outside by the pergola. Do they not just look phenomenal? They do. So we've got 5 of those. Then I've got some coreopsis. I think I have like 3 or I don't know how many I have of these. This is the Designer Threads Heartstrings. Love this. It has that, of course, that pinky red center with that creamy white edge. This is a thread leaf coreopsis, so very fine foliage, 20 inches tall. Again, full sun, because remember, this bed is definitely full sun, and it is hardy in zones 5 to 9. Gorgeous. Once your coreopsis starts blooming, it continues to bloom all summer long. So we love that. So we've got all of those. We have got the new Treasure Trove Rudbeckia. This is a very happy, vigorous plant. It gets some height to it, about 3 feet tall. The flowers are on the small side, but they are extremely prolific. This will make a huge impact in the later summer, which is what I need. I realize that's kind of where I do struggle in this bed, is maybe some late summer flowers. So Treasure Trove Rudbeckia is going to be a great addition. I have 3 of them. And of course, Rudbeckia is hardy in zones 4 to 9. Great native. Love that. Again, lots and lots of sun on those. And then last but not least, we have got the bejeweled pink pearls. Now, this tag has gone through it, let me tell you. But this penstemon is unbelievable. For me, it was an earlier spring bloomer, so like, well, maybe early summer, I guess you could say. Late, mid-spring to early summer. Bloomed a long time, very upright flowers on it, 20 inches tall. A beautiful light pink, that is the pink pearls. Rose rhinestones is a little bit darker. And then of course, this is hardy in zones 4 to 8 as well. So we've got a nice little collection of those. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Lemon meringue baptisia, back there in the back. Lemon meringue baptisia is probably one of the very first perennials from Proven Winners that I added to our garden. In the cottage garden at the house, I actually have 2. They have been there for years, I would say 7, 8 years. They are very mature plants, and they are unbelievable. They're huge. So if you do not have a baptisia in your garden, you need to add one. Find a spot, put it there. You're not going to want to move it because they have very deep tap roots. Like, the roots on these things are huge. So they don't like to be moved because typically you can't get all the tap root out, and then you might lose it. But they have like a vase-like habit. So they're narrow at the bottom, and then they will kind of arch out in the spring, covered with very upright blooms. Lemon meringue is a gorgeous, beautiful shade of yellow. And then after they bloom, you can deadhead them. They're not going to rebloom. You can actually even go ahead and shear them back by like half, and then they'll flush back out with new foliage only. They're not going to rebloom, and be nice and tight. And they have kind of a silvery blue, almost like green with a little bit of blue in it. So they are a great backdrop for other perennials or annuals in front of them, because they will get some height to them. I think lemon meringue, let me go grab the tag, I want to say is in that 2.5 foot, 3 feet. So it is 3 feet, and it is hardy in zones 4 to 9. But they come in a ton of colors. I have to say though, probably lemon meringue is my favorite because, like I said, it was the OG in the cottage garden, and it was absolutely gorgeous. Still is gorgeous. It'll outlive me probably. So love that. So what we're gonna do is I actually have a shovel. That's right, I'm actually using a shovel today. So the shovel, of course, obviously is to dig up the plants that need to be dug up. So we will dig with the shovel to remove the plants. And then of course, back here, I've got all my other supplies. I've got the Jenny's Edition 9-inch auger. That is what we're going to drill our holes with. So we're going to go through. It will not be hard to dig in this because when we made the berm, we brought in a lot of soil. So it should be very fluffy. I shouldn't have to struggle with it. But this is what I use, the Jenny's Edition 9-inch. So whether you struggle or you don't struggle, it'll work great. And then once all the plants are in, then we're going to come through and fertilize. We'll talk about that when it's appropriate. But yeah, so we're going to move these plants. So I have finished moving around the perennials, removing the ones that need to be removed. So let's just talk about some little tips on moving, transplanting, and or if you need to divide your shrubs or your perennials. Obviously, what you want to do is try to get as many roots as you possibly can, because happy roots equal happy shoots. So try to get as many roots as you possibly can. Use a nice, good, sturdy shovel. This is one thing that I would tell you, invest in a really good shovel. In the beginning, we would buy cheap shovels. It would drive us crazy. You want a nice, heavy-duty shovel, especially if you have challenging soil like I do. So get a nice strong shovel, and then you're going to work your way around it, lifting it up as you go. Once you get it lifted up, I like to try to remove as much soil as I possibly can. Again, I got clay soil. That's really, really heavy when I'm trying to move them. I was so encouraged by the number of worms that I have in the garden, right? So there was tons of big, fat, juicy worms. Made sure to gently get them out of the roots, make sure they stayed in the garden. And then when you replant it, you basically want to plant it at the same depth level that it was when you dug it up. So that makes it really easy when you are looking at it. If you need to divide your perennials, this is a great time to do it. Let me show you, kind of demonstrate how I would do it with these daylilies that I'm going to move. They're actually going to go behind the barn beside the quickfire hydrangeas. I was getting ready to say quickfire fab. That's the original quickfires. And being blood, sweat, and tears, oh, it'll be a gorgeous combination. So when you've got your perennial out, so this is, as a general rule, this will apply to all your perennials. Again, so obviously you're going to have this on the ground. You have your really nice sturdy shovel with that nice pointy end. And as long as you get a good root system, you can divide this into as many different pieces as you want. If you're trying to go for numbers, then obviously you're going to divide it into bigger quantities. Or if you're just trying to say, well, this is a really big size daylily, which it is, like that's my hand, and so you can see it's a good size. But you're just trying to, get some. And if you want to go in half, so what I would do is I would put my shovel pointy side down. Of course, this is in the ground, then jump on your shovel, and the shovel's going to go all the way through, and now you've got two big clumps. And then you just keep doing that as many times as you want to get your your divisions out of there. Another way that people will do it, if you don't want to be jumping on a shovel, is buy a serrated knife, like a bread knife. Again, this is the one you don't want to spend a lot of money on. So get a good serrated knife, cheap one. I mean, you can go to the dollar store, Walmart, whatever, and then you're actually going to saw it in half. So if you don't want to jump on a shovel, no big deal. Just go get a bread knife and you can cut it into pieces. So that pretty much takes care of the division, the transplanting, the moving, and all that. Of course, I use biotone, and then when we mulch, everybody's going to get a good layer of mulch. If you can time it, not immediately after a rain because it'll be really goopy, but we had a good rain. So today is Wednesday. We had a good rain on Sunday. The ground was nice and moist, not sopping wet, and so it was easier to get those plants out. And then again, we're supposed to have rain in a couple of days, so then that works in my favor as far as putting these babies in. I'm going to fertilize and then putting that mulch down. Then we get a good little rain on top of that. It is chef's kiss as far as the gardener. So let me just run through really quickly and explain my placement on these perennials, where I've put them, kind of my garden design brain reasoning behind that. And then I got to get these babies in the ground because we got to move, my friends. We're going to start here up at the top. So the top is definitely the sunniest and the driest. Now you can see that we do have drip irrigation in here. We do not run it every day. It may run like twice a week for about 30 minutes in the hottest part of the summer. So that just kind of gives you an idea. This is not a heavily irrigated flower bed. So I put the phenomenal lavender up front. That's 5 of them. And again, this is a display garden, so yes, I am kind of putting my minimum spacing to the test, and so they're going to be in there quite snug as far as the minimum spacing. Now, thinking about I have daffodils, jonquils, so those are what these green clumps are right here. Those are my spring flowering bulbs. In the summer, they're going to be gone. So if you see a plant that's kind of close to that, don't worry, it's just a spring flowering bulb, then they disappear. So I like though to plant, add plants to the garden when I can see where my bulbs are, because otherwise, I could plant on top of the bulbs. So we've got the 5 phenomenals in front, and then we're working our way. So this is gonna be kind of like the blue yellow corner right here. Then we have the salvias. So I've got the 5 salvias. These are going to be nice and large. They're going to be a really rich, dark purple. So they're going to be gorgeous. So there's 2 here, and then there's 3 in the back because, of course, coming through the driveways, thinking of it that way. And then those 3 in the center, those are my treasure trove Rudbeckia. They're going to get 3 feet tall. So these are going to be like 3 feet tall, 3 feet wide, and with those gorgeous bright yellow flowers, it'll be really pretty with that dark purple salvia and then even the lavender in front. So there we go on that. As we make our way down, so this is where the rest of the perennials go. I don't have anything past where the buddleias are. So right here we did a mass planting of the Banana Cream 2 Shasta Daisy, and really opened up that spot since I've got rid of those 2 Daylilies. And so I've got plenty of room here. Again, it may look like it's close to that Weigela, but I still have to prune it once it flowers and does its thing. And so basically that should be about the spacing with them. I am jamming them in here because I want it to look like one giant Banana Cream 2 Shasta Daisy right there. So we've got those. So they got that nice creamy yellow with the white. Then we've got going into some pinks. So we did the pink pearls right here. Again, putting them relatively close together because I want them to look like one massive one. And then kind of mirroring that, but they're going to be blooming. There might be a slight overlap, but I very seriously doubt it. My penstemons up here, the pink pearls, are going to be blooming before my designer threads coreopsis is. So I've got 4 coreopsis right here, that heartstrings. It's going to be that nice kind of a deeper reddish pink than the pink pearls. So we'll have that. So it would be a different bloom time on them. And then the blood, sweat, and tears that are behind, the daylilies that are behind there, that is kind of in that same reddish pinky color as well. Then coming through to tie in between my heartstrings, and then I did the daisy maze right here. So we've got 6 of the daisy maze, that clear white Shasta daisy. And then tying in those 2 together is the alliums. So those alliums are going to be on the shorter side, not going to be as tall and wide as both the coreopsis and the Shasta daisies. So again, that will just kind of give a little bit of some different color and texture up against the Weigela. And then last but not least, we only had room for 1 of the lemon meringue pies. Lemon meringue baptisias. And so 3 feet tall is yeah, don't let it deceive you. It will get every bit as big as that. So basically 3 feet tall, 3 feet wide at maturity. So it's really going to fill that in. Of course, I've got the Niagara Falls grass back there, and then the Sensation honeysuckle. So that will be really pretty together. So there we go. I have got to move with purpose because I have got to get all of these babies in the ground. It is not going to be hard because I've got my auger. I'm going to put the biotone in the hole, slap them in the hole, and move on, because I still have to go ahead and fertilize this bed. It won't take me long. Fertilize this bed, and then the team's going to come over and they are going to mulch this bed for me. So that way this bed will be done for the season. This is all I'm going to have to do. So with those perennial beds, this is why we love perennial beds, shrub beds. We've already done the pruning, so this is going to be minimal effort. Remember that garden reset, you prune, you fertilize, you mulch. That's what we're doing, and adding some plants as we go along. All right, get to work. Okay, my friends, so I feel like it's been a while since we've had a little chit chat. So let's recap what has happened so far. I was moving with purpose because my team was here and I wanted to get them going, and they were waiting on me before they could do what they were doing. So we're just going to recap everything that happened. So of course, got all the perennials, they were placed, they got planted. I'm telling you, y'all, it was easy peasy minus the maple trees. Dear heavens to Betsy, the roots on those things are so shallow that it is a good thing I had the Jenny's Edition auger, because the roots, oh my goodness. There was a couple of them I just went ahead and cut, but it handled it like a champion, and I got them in the ground. They're looking so good without even any mulch on them yet. Yeah, so there you go. Got them all in. Everything, I would say in this corner planting, the maple tree was kind of the booger-boo as far as the roots. But all of this stuff tends to like it dry. The lavender, the Rudbeckia, the Salvia, I've got some sedums right here. They like the soil on the drier side. So it works well to have them up here at the top. Competing with the maple tree roots, obviously we've got irrigation in here, so they're gonna get water. But yeah, and then got everybody in. Cece and the team came through and got, look at that. Isn't that a beautiful sight for a gardener? No weeds. Oh, it's glorious. So got all the weeds out, and then some leaves. Cece was doing a little bit of last minute cleanup on some of the perennials for me, just like the daylilies, because they've gotten burned when we had the snow and all the different precipitation through here. So just got them cleaned up. Y'all remember, a daylily, you can't kill the things. I mean, seriously. So she just went through and just cleaned them up. All that new foliage is going to pop out and be glorious. And then I went on to fertilizing. So I've talked about this before, just I think earlier, maybe in the week, I'm not sure when that video came out, about the importance of feeding your plants, because food equals flowers, food equals beautiful growth on your plants. I always say a plant coming out of winter is like a bear coming out of hibernation, right? They're hungry, they're going into their growing season. What do you do when you get hungry? You eat, right? You get food to nourish your body. The plants need the food as well. Literally, I fertilize 1 time a year on my perennials, trees, and shrubs. The only exception would be my roses. Roses tend to be a little bit more high maintenance, and they like food like once a month. I don't have any roses in here, so going through and just essentially everything, the entire space got fertilized. So let's run down and talk about what fertilizer do you use. First of all, you use what is available to you, right? So go to your local garden center, talk to some fellow gardeners. What do they use? What do they love? Talk to them. If you don't have a resource for that, or you want to order online, then we use the Espoma tones, right? So I always say that plant tone, the one in the brown bag, is like the Swiss Army knife of fertilizer. You can use that on everything. So if you only buy one fertilizer in your entire life, I would say let it be plant tone, because you can do trees, shrubs, vegetables, perennials, annuals, cut flowers, you name it, you can use plant tone on it. So when in doubt, or if you only want to buy one, do the plant tone. Now, this is a big space. I had 18-pound bags. I went through 3 bags. And so, because that, again, is the vast majority of what these plants needed, was just that good old general plant tone. Then I had holly tone. Now, I don't have any hollies in here. I don't have any camellias in here, but what I do have are my evergreens. I have my pine, and then I have my North Pole arborvitaes. So those got the holly tone. These are nice, big, established trees, so you're gonna wanna follow what the directions say on the bag, because obviously it's going to vary greatly if you have a brand new little tiny baby, or you've got a nice mature tree. So between those 2 sets of plants, I used a whole 18-pound bag on them. And then last but certainly not least was rose tone. So, oh, wait a minute, back up. Boop, boop, boop. No? Did I use holly tone on anything else? No, it was just the trees. I'm trying to think. See, now I start second guessing myself. Okay, so then the other thing that I had was, sorry, it's getting towards the end of the day, and there you go. It's a little glimpse of what it's like to be around Jenny. All right, so next was rose tone. So rose tone obviously will do roses. But funny enough, hydrangeas have the same nutritional requirements as a rose because they are a woody ornamental, right? And so I use my rose tone on my hydrangeas. In this bed, I have a little lime punch and I have quick fire fabs. So between all the hydrangeas in here and then the quick fire fabs on the other side, I went ahead and used a whole 18-pound bag on those as well. I tell you before that my trick is I get a little, it's like a little plastic food container, like storage container. Is super like hard plastic. That way when I go in there into the bag and I scoop it, it doesn't collapse. A red, like a solo cup of like that kind of plastic cup, it tends to break or collapse on me. So I like the nice hard plastic. A tin can, like an old, like a tomato can or a bean can, whatever, that would work great as well. Just something that you can kind of scoop and sling. If you can time it before a rain, it would behoove you, and your neighbors probably would appreciate that because it is quite fragrant, shall we say. But my folks were still at the top weeding, and I was like, I'm gonna come down here because it's a very windy day. I'm gonna start fertilizing down here so I'm downwind from you so you do not get the tone bath. I have the tone bath, so it'll be a everything shower. Ladies, you know what I mean when I say it's an everything shower, right? So we don't want to go to bed smelling like a bag of tones. So they are putting out mulch. Let's talk about mulch right quick because this is different than what we typically use. Debbie was like, you're throwing us for a loop, Jenny. This isn't what we usually use. We're not using the Daddy Pete soil enhancer, which is the aged pine bark fines, for one very simple reason. We ran out. Jenny used it all. That's right. So we've got to order another tractor trailer of that. But what we do have is it's still the Daddy Pete product, but it's considered the professional landscape mix. So it is going to be maybe more of what you think of mulch is, like a shredded mulch. Let me show you. So not only does this have that shredded mulch in it, right? So it has bigger chunks of the mulch, but it also has cow manure. So this way you will notice we did not put down any compost in this bed. We have amended this bed so many times. And then knowing that we were going to use this landscape mix that has some of that compost in it, then there you go. It is a great way. We used this last year behind the signature garden where the Midnight Express Redbud is, and the Sun Patience, no irrigation, and they did great. So it is a little bit of a different mix. It will be chunkier, so when my poor folks are putting it out, it does have a chunkier component to it because of the compost. So it may clump up like this for you, and then it has to break it down just a little bit because that compost will get compacted with the shredded mulch. So it does go out a little differently. It's maybe a little bit harder to spread, but once it goes down, my gosh, the plants love it. Before we know it, we're not going to be able to see any of this mulch. It is going to be completely covered up by the plants because spring is rapidly approaching here in North Carolina. Last year we did put down like the black gold mix, and that was what we used last year, but we did it much later in the season, and my poor guys had a booger-boo of a time. When the plants are out and they're growing and they're full, it is a lot harder to put that mulch out. So if you can put the compost or the mulch out while the plants are still dormant or just breaking dormancy and they are small, it will be so much easier on you because you're not having to lift foliage. If you put some mulch on top of a daylily, it's fine. Don't worry about it, y'all. The daylily will pop right through. Just don't put 2 feet of compost on top of it or 2 feet of mulch, and it will be fine and it will survive and bounce back. But if you can time the compost, the fertilizer, and the mulch before a little bit of a rain, you are good to go. So I hope that from what you take of this is some knowledge, because knowledge is power. And when we have that knowledge to go in the garden, we have the confidence to go in our garden and take care of it. Just a little bit of knowledge will go a long way, and you will have a beautiful garden that will be essentially maintenance free. So this bed, like the other garden reset that I did at the Forest Pansy, this is going to be essentially maintenance free. What we're going to have to do is maintain. I have one more pruning to do, and those are my Pugster pinker butterfly bushes. We don't prune those until we see new growth popping out in the spring. So while it takes everything in me not to prune them now because I desperately want to, I don't. I've done it before, and I literally got burned with it. So wait until they break dormancy, and then you can trim them. So other than trimming the Pugster pinkers, we just have to come through and just weed this summer. And so putting down this nice thick mulch, it'll be minimal, but we can do it and stay on top of it, get them while they're little. If you see a weed, pull a weed. All right, my friends, stay tuned. Jerry's hopefully gonna put the drone up so that you can see what it looks like all finished and done. So y'all have a great day. If you're able to get out in your garden, get out in your garden just even for 5 minutes, okay? Get some sunshine, get some fresh air, take a walk. You do nothing. Even if you don't physically do anything in your garden, walk around, look at it, because you might see some things that surprise you for the good and maybe not so the good. But get out there in your garden and take a walk. We will see y'all in the next video. Bye, my friends.